come forward, Gemma and Jane, to give us a little bit of an introduction to the film.
Brought our copies up to cling on to it. It's a bit nervous, isn't it? Yeah. A bit nervous. So I think Ursula asked to say a memory of Fishermead, a memory of school, and then say our memory of Zarina as well.
Yes.
So I moved here when I was 4. How long have you been in Fishermead?
I've been in Fishermead ever since I was born.
So you're still here?
Yeah.
Fishermead Creek. We moved away when I was 11, 12, so when we finished school here. I'm just looking at my mum for confirmation. My mum used to work here as well, Mrs. Hams, so that's nice. So my memories of Fishermead, it was pretty diverse back then. Lots of different people, lots of different smells, and
green
colours and
either.
languages. Not as green as it is now.
No. Like when I first moved in, everything hadn't grown yet.
All the trees were only 10 years old.
They were like this big, as you see in the picture.
Now they're 50, that makes you feel old, doesn't it?
My memory of the school is I actually fell over and broke my teeth on the floor. That's only one memory I remember of the school. My mum used to work in. Also, I remember when I first started, my mum dropped me off and I cried so hard at the window, like, "Don't leave me!" And when we left school, we had a pirates leaving do, and it was in the hall here, and everyone dressed up as pirates. We had to walk the plank, we had our eye patches on, and it was amazing.
So cool.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know that. Year old, I see.
I've got photographs.
Yeah, we have a lot of photographs. The school has changed a lot.
Yeah.
As I was walking up, I know that this bit was not there, you know, the nursery's expanded.
Yeah.
But like, as soon as I walked in, I noticed the walls different, like that was just curtains. There was no wall. And this bit's been changed as well here, and so the flower bed outside there, that's where she landed. Yeah, oh my gosh, it's just so surreal being back here. And like I just went out there and they just had like a little area that was underneath.
Yeah,
Do you remember
the
that?
balcony over
Yeah,
the
it's
top,
all been opened out.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. So I took a picture of where I broke the teeth on the floor.
So the night before, do you remember the massive bang?
Yes.
So the night
Yes.
before, it was a huge bang, like shook the aluminium windows
Yeah.
of Fishermead.
Oh yes,
yeah.
definitely the single
It
pane.
did, yeah. Shook the windows, and then I remember arriving to school through the gate there into the playground. And
There was just this metal object just stuck there.
Cones all round, police. I
Yeah,
remember
that's
police
right,
being
yeah.
there.
We had to get ushered round, so we all came
Yeah.
through like this way to
They
come into
taped
our
it off.
classrooms.
We weren't allowed in the normal doors
No.
to go into the classroom, they taped it all off. And I remember being in the classroom and we were allowed, so I was in the classroom on that side of the building. I think we both were, but we were allowed into Miss Griffiths' classroom on that side so we could lick the windows to look out and see what was happening with the police there. And then Professor James Q. Blenkinsop turned up.
Yes.
And
Very
then stuff
professional
got real,
looking,
didn't
his
it?
bow tie.
Yeah, with his bow tie and his white coat and
Yeah.
that, and I think the censor
We were
also
all like
is it, yeah.
scared, like, oh my god, what is going on?
So we were looking the windows saying that's well bad, we don't know what it is, we don't know what it is.
Trying to look but not look, you know what I mean?
And then Mrs. Foster said, right, I think they're going to bring it in to school
Yeah.
and try and open it. And I remember being so scared, like, oh my god,
So
what's
it was
going to happen?
Actually, I remember it was here. So this is where the spaceship was.
PE mats,
Here,
cones.
all PE mats, all the little boys there, bless them. And
Yeah.
as soon as it opened, they screamed themselves, run out there. These started boys, and then they're like, left it, and we were all like, and then she comes out with all her silver hair and everything.
I remember
spandex.
Professor Blenkinsop tapping like 3 times, like that.
Oh, do you remember?
Inside,
Do you
yeah.
remember that?
And then from inside, like.
Yeah.
And then a silver hand just come out through the top. We're like, what? Wait, it just
But no, it was the best because we had to sort of like make a house for in here.
Yeah.
So we had like you were saying about the plans, making the
Yeah,
plans,
yeah.
which is in the
I
photograph.
just said to Roger, like, you don't remember the maths lesson that you had when you were 8 and it was raining and you know you got your rulers out and whatever else. But I do remember the maths lesson that I had when I was designing a house. So for cross-curricular, remember what we were saying, you have to teach the curriculum, but they don't tell you how to teach the curriculum. And boy, is this a way to teach the curriculum, because it's so memorable. Cross-curricular, so we did artwork, we did like the geometry and the maths.
Teaching
We
her the
taught
rights
her the
and wrongs.
language and the moral. The moral
Yeah.
was really, actually, it's really interesting. So some of the things which looking back for me, thinking about like reflecting as an adult what happened, because I just tell people when I was 8 an alien crash landed in my, that's my dream.
Yeah, and then dead, right, whatever.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
that's our truth. Yeah, that is our truth. But looking back now, 2 of the things as an adult I can reflect back on is, first of all, engagement with the police. Really, it was a positive engagement with the police, but for a lot of our families in Fishermead, engagement with the police was only a negative thing. So that was awesome. That was a really, really good thing. I think which helped probably a lot of us naughty little kids.
I don't know what you mean, I was never naughty.
No, we weren't. And then the other thing was, I mean, I was just saying earlier, I was the oldest girl in the school in 1988. Yeah, and I probably showed off about it. My handwriting, you can see my handwriting at the back is very neat. So academically, I was all right. But when Serena came, what I noticed was the children were an academic school environment, they didn't have a chance to shine, or things were difficult. All of a sudden, this was their thing. They could really shine on this in caring for someone, the moral stuff, the looking after. It was a totally different thing, which you probably do get in school now, but then I don't remember, and I remember feeling a bit like, oh, I'm taking a back seat on this, whereas normally I'm the bossy one. And so for those children who did struggle at school and who didn't enjoy school, they really come out and they really shone. So I'm just so grateful for that happened as well. So it's just such an awesome
and I also, sorry to cut you up, my love.
You said you weren't going to say anything.
We actually, on the way, when we were sending her home, there was a whole massive parade around Fishermead. Everyone get dressed up, went from here, went all the way around. We had police horses and everything as escorts, because that's how we do it. And then it took it up to the backfield there, and then she got taken away in a helicopter, thinking about it now. Wasn't really spacey, but an actual helicopter. Yeah.
Because the helicopter went to like the Shetlands.
Yes.
Where there was an ex-NASA space rocket.
We've got certificates, there's one over there actually. I don't know. Like, you just see this amazing thing happen that all of them little things just fly out the window. Like, now I look back on it, I know that was a lunchbox, I know that was a fridge, but at the time, the whole magic of it, you just thought that was a spaceship. That looked like a little bit like a lunchbox on the side. But no, honestly, it wasn't until later on I thought about it, and then I thought, wow, that was actually
it's like
pretty
Shell
good.
said in the film, isn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I remember about the spaceship being here on the PMAX in here was going inside and it smelled funny.
Yeah.
It smelled funny inside, so I don't know, I think that's being a little kid, just smelled much more in touch with you. It smells,
Oh,
I don't know.
the songs
Yeah.
that video, like, oh my god, Serena and I remember that. Oh wow. Wow. It's just so surreal. And then, did you see me I was in quite a lot of
those
photographs.
photos.
Yes, I supplied photographs. My mum was actually at the school at the time, so she took a lot of the photographs too. Yeah.
The commentary that was there by the children was that back then, my role was to be like a reporter, and we made that tape slideshow with the photographs and the children telling the story in their own words, 35 years ago. So
my name is Ophelia, and that was an amazing thing, and I'm very passionate about Fishermead community.
Good.
And I felt as though the start of that thing said 50 years ago, Fishermead was impoverished, and it was a multicultural community. Unfortunately, I feel like 50 years on, it feels like Fishermead is the same. And I just feel like we still need a Zarina in Fishermead. We still need that.
There's no community.
There is no, that community
There's
is
no
not there.
community. Yeah, I
It's
still
not
live
there.
here.
And
There's no community spirit anymore.
Yeah.
It's literally for yourselves and that's it nowadays.
So one of the questions that I wanted to ask you guys, you ladies, is after the project, how has that impacted your life? How has that impacted your morals? How has that impacted your interaction with people of different culture, people of different race, people from different areas? How has that had an impact on you?
we already had, I mean, the school was really diverse anyway, so we already had a really good diversity at school, which I think it still is now, looking around at the mottos and the things on here about diversity is a fact, equity is a choice, inclusion is an action, belonging is an outcome. I mean, that's an awesome quote there, Arthur Chan. So I think diversity still exists here. So for Zarina coming, she wasn't a lot more diverse than being in school anyway, so it didn't really add to the diversity of school that much, having one person from Zadrolite here. But I think for me, seeing some of, like it addressed in the film, seeing some of the children who are quite naughty in school, not their fault, because their home life was probably very challenging, so their behaviour in school consequently was challenging as well. Seeing them all of a sudden teaching someone else to be good helped me to not judge people. So that's been a lifelong impactful thing. Thinking, oh, you know, you can think, oh, you know, I won't name names, but you know, him in my class who's always turns up late, a bit smelly. You know, none of those things are his fault. And when you're little, you just think, oh, that's just his fault, and it's not. But seeing him then be able to look after someone else and care for someone else, whereas normally he's hurting other people, all of a sudden he's caring for someone. Just seeing that completely different side of people, really impactful for me and the rest of my life. Hello, this is my grandson. Yes, lovely man at the back. It's my husband. Lovely man at the back.
I obviously know how it's affected you and what wonderful memories you've got. And when you showed the film before, the first time I saw it, it was just wonderful, just fantastic. How do you think we could do this in other schools or back in this school in the modern times? What would you do to try and do the same for the schools now?
I don't know, it's going to be a lot harder with social media and all of that. You've got a lot of very materialistic kids out there that most probably wouldn't want to be involved in this because it didn't involve their phone. So I think it'd be very challenging to introduce this to schools these days. I really do. It was a completely different life back then. We actually had community spirit. We knew everybody in the school. Parents knew each other. I don't think that's a thing now. I don't think you know every single person in the school and parent. I think it's a completely different world. I don't know, if I'm honest, that it would work in this day and age.
But would it not still have the same effect for the children?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
I think the effect would be the same. Back then, because you said to me about, I can't remember the comment you said, but back then, there's no way you could find out whether or not this was real.
Oh yeah.
There's no 24-hour news, you can't look it up.
Excuse me 1 minute, I've just got to
Children would instantly Google it.
Yeah, exactly. So you can find that, you know, if you want to fact check something now, you go online and you know, check.
It might be good to try and do that to get everyone back together in a community spirit and for everyone to start talking again. And because a lot of people don't talk anymore, they're always in their phones, in technology. That's where I think it might actually bring it back. Like, yeah, it might be great to do that. But I'm not quite sure.
You said you were sad that the club had shut down. So that this school now is this is the heart of your community now, I think. So this is where the basis, if anything's going to happen, for that passion that you've got, Ophelia, for, you know, I think this is the place for it to happen from and to be impacted with these wonderful people that we've got.
I'm going to risk being unpopular. If anyone thinks there is no community spirit officially and people don't talk to each other, please come and see me afterwards and I'll give you my list.
Good for you.
Can I ask how you got that lady to play the role?
I moved it.
Where she came from?
Well, she was.
That's what I Lucy,
I think she was living in Wolverton at the time. She was
a local,
she was doing juggling and teaching juggling and circus skills. And interestingly, it was elsewhere when we did the interviews, James was talking about the fact that this was their first paid piece of work, as it were, doing this kind of acting this role. And they thought their whole career had finished when all the children ran out of the room, that was going to be the end of the film.
I just assumed she must be involved in something theatrical to be able to play that role.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think she is an extraordinary character, Lucy. No, I mean that was the first time, and of course it's not like being in a play. you're enrolled and you don't know, it wasn't scripted, obviously, you see it, just, you had to go with it. And I mean, she did that, I mean, the way she did the whole thing was quite amazing.
How long was she here for?
Well, it was 6 weeks, and in the original budget, we budgeted for her to come in 1 day a week and then go back to with Professor Blenkinsop from the Science Museum. Such was the response from the children that it was 2 days a week. So I still don't know where we got the money for the anyway.
I thought she lived in a pod that they'd made for her.
No, she went. No, the thing was, Professor Blenkinsop. This whole thing about tell me what she likes to eat, because then I can give it to her back home. This was to get her, if you like, what was she doing when she was at the Science Museum being looked after by
But
Professor Blenkinsop.
we just said we don't remember her not being here.
We don't remember it being 2 days a week. We remember her being here all the time.
Wow.
And I don't ever remember her being told that she was. I thought she was actually living in the school.
Yeah, but you probably thought Miss Boston Scott lived in there, so.
I
I wonder whether it was because she was actually going and visiting all of the classes, wasn't she? And maybe you thought she was in another class.
Yeah.
when
It's a
she
shame
wasn't
she
doing-
couldn't have been here tonight. It would have been great.
She lives in Exeter at the moment.
Oh, right, she's not
did,
here.
she did come up here for the. Another thing was that James Easton, when we had the premiere and afterwards went over to the project space where all this stuff was exhibited. I've forgotten her name. Who was on here? Michelle. Michelle. She started chatting to James, and she said, "You did my dad's funeral. He's a celebrant now. He's a celebrant." And she just, because he changed so much from way back then, she's, "What, you did my dad's funeral?" But yeah.
But the character of Zarina, she did totally go with it. So, you know, there's us like picking our noses and then going, Zarina, eat this mushroom and fish paste on a bit of chocolate. So she did, she ate everything, didn't she? You know.
So you weren't all.
So she was totally up for it. I mean, she's brilliant casting. Really good, yeah.
And I know Zarina would have loved to have been here. I know that because I had a message from Badgerlight.
They've got the internet now, have they?
Can I just come back to that question about whether something like this could be done these days?
Yeah.
Because you said before about the sandwich box on the inside of the fish, but then you said, well, you saw it, but you just didn't believe it. So, is it really about the technology available at the time, or about kind of belief that can be created by educators in the kids' minds? Could something
That
like this?
imagination's. I don't think that imagination's really around anymore.
No, I do.
Personally, I don't. I think technology's ruined that.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, what
They're
about,
either on their PS5, and if it isn't anything to do with their phone or TikTok, they don't want to know. So I'm not sure if you was to get younger kids, maybe like the ones that are around today, maybe. I'm not
think
sure.
Key
That's
Stage
just my
1,
personal
definitely.
opinion. That's just my personal
what
opinion.
about the head teacher? Are you happy to talk about this? You were the head teacher, right? What do you think?
I think it could be, because I think, as Wendy said, we all want to be part of something, even if we maybe know intellectually that it's not true, but it could be true for us. And I think children have, I mean, especially things you look from 5 to 8 year olds, they have the most wonderful imagination.
Yeah, maybe.
I think technology would make it much more challenging.
Yes,
But
yes.
I think you could do something in a school with the children, and they would want to go along with it.
I have a suggestion that you do it based on history and maybe have somebody somehow time travelling and coming back into
That would be a good idea.
either
that
from
would
the Tudor period
Come back. Yay!
or further back or something like that, and so you could incorporate a lot of local history lessons as well.
Yeah, I think what happened was, Julia, Mrs. Harrison, you, it was a response to a need, wasn't it, Julia? Because you were here, like you said in the film, you were here, you saw that the community needed building, the school needed nurturing, and you responded to that need with your contacts. So I think if you look around, what's your needs? I work with a lot of schools in my job now. I'm not dressed like this today, so I'm come from work. So I think if you see the need and then respond to it, and if you've got the resources of a project like this, how on earth did you get a helicopter?
Well, I went on to Cranbrook. It was going to cost us £160 to have the helicopter. They were so delighted. I think, of course, they were on Anglia television as well. They never sent the bill.
It's not what, you know.
I was going to say the big change, I think, is the fact that we didn't tell the parents what was going to happen. Now, I'm sure you would not get away with that today, and we only just about got away with it then.
So I mean, that's why I'm here. I'm really passionate about how this changed my life and changed my education. The best thing that happened to me in school was I progressed with Springfield Up, and didn't really enjoy that very much. And secondary school I didn't enjoy. So this really was the highlight of my whole educational career as a child. So I do commend this. If you're in education or if you're in community, to think of a project like this which could work, however it works today in our society, responding to your needs, and you want to build your community with your contacts, then do it.
Well, let's
it's
just
so
take on the
awesome.
question of the courage of the leadership to make a project like this happen.
Yeah.
So what, we heard from you, what about you, Julie? I mean, what part does courage play in the leadership who would have to overcome some barriers? Like, for example, not tell the parents what's going to happen.
Well, actually, I don't think I'll be honest, we hadn't appreciated that the parents trusted us, and teachers have that huge responsibility. We hadn't appreciated that some parents might believe that it was true. But after the first day, I can honestly say, and Kathy might back me up on this, I think the parents was just delighted that something so fascinating, so interesting, so captivating was happening in their school on Fishermead for their children. And I think they had real pride that together, the community of the school and interaction at the time and the artists involved were so interested in their community, their children, their school, they just bought into it and would do anything to help make it happen. I mean, that party at the end, I think Kathy will back me up on this, sometimes it's quite difficult for parents to get involved in perhaps the Christmas parties, but they wanted that party and they really played their part in contributing it, baking cakes, coming along, as well as the final day going all around Fishermead, singing the song. So I don't think Roger and Jill and I felt brave when we were concocting the project in their sitting room one evening. We just let our imaginations run wild.
I think you're right, that initial reaction, I mean, it was so real, if you like, for parents who weren't, if you like, associated with drama or anything like that, to actually see that, it did look incredibly real. There were real police there going around. And then, that kind of reaction of the children, it was they just did buy into it. And as you say in the film, you had to go and just reassure parents that
Just
it's
a
okay.
few.
This is
But it wasn't just the parents, and that first day for the head was hell. The number of complaints we got about the prank, and in the end I remember I had to come to you and ask for help with the press. Because I had one hostile call after another. Not so much from parents, but from the rest of the community. And after that it just went from strength to strength. But the first day was horrible.
So I think the person that was brave was the head teacher, Kathy, when I went to see her and said, we've got an idea. So I think that's where the person that was the bravest that backed us to do that. But we were in it together and we wanted to make it work. And can I just say about the police, because I have, with other things I'm involved in, I'm quite involved with the police because I am a trustee of the YMCA working with young people. And I was speaking to the Chief Constable yesterday. They look for opportunities to engage positively with communities, to say that we're here to support you. And so the police just completely bought into it and gave their time really willingly. And again, for the families and the children to have the police horses come on the final day was a real celebration. And I think if you create something and it reach out to people like the police, community artists, they will come together and make something happen. And I think you're going to have a great celebration on the 2nd of July if you can just tap into some of that creativity and positive thinking about doing something for community.